In Matthew 6:34, Jesus says, "Do not be anxious for tomorrow, because tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient is the day and its own trouble." Welcome, my friends, to Uncuffed episode 10, where I will be talking about time. And I just want to say thank you first and foremost to anyone that has been on this journey with me, and anyone who is just tuning in for the first time. Welcome to the Uncuffed family. There's a quote in my office, and it says, "It's not enough to just trust God with the path of our lives, but we must also thank him with the pace of our lives as well." And I know so many of us are anxious about the things that we want in life, the things that we believe we deserve, the things that we think God is calling us to be, whether it's a position or a certain amount of money or it's affluence, whatever it might be. We are constantly hoping and treading through the waters of doing things to make sure we go further in life. And there's nothing wrong with that. So if you think that that's what I'm trying to say right now, I'm not saying that. I am saying that is a natural thing. For myself, I know that sometimes I struggle with the idea of wanting things to happen faster than God allows them to happen. That is a natural part of the human existence. My wife and I had 3 miscarriages before our beautiful, amazing daughter, Kendall, was born. And the first miscarriage, I can tell you, it happened on May 2nd, 2014. It was the most traumatic day probably of our lives to date. I was at work and my wife was at work. She was a teacher at the time outside of DC. And I got a call that she wasn't feeling very well. She was 14 weeks along. And let me tell you, we went from doctor to doctor. One doctor said that they thought that we were having a miscarriage. Another one said, no, it might just be little pains that go along with being pregnant at this stage. But eventually we did miscarry that baby that day. And it was awful. It was gut-wrenching. My wife didn't even get a chance to see our little baby girl. I did, but my wife was in such shock, and the nurses really didn't know how to handle it at the hospital we took her to. So she never got to see our beautiful baby girl, which is something that kind of haunts her to this day. But that was a situation where we felt like God was calling us to be parents. So why would he take away our precious little baby? And then it happened again. And then it happened again. And at that point, we were thinking, okay, something's wrong here. We can't do anything. We know that we want to be parents and we hope that God wants us to be parents, but the timing just wasn't what God wanted. And, it's kind of crazy when I think about it now, because our daughter was born almost a year to the day that we lost our third baby, a son that we named Balin. And the craziest part about that story is not the fact that she was due a day after we lost him, or that she was born almost a year to the date, was that she was born in the exact same hospital room that we lost Balin. And God blessed us in that way, because we had no idea until after she was born. So she was able to redeem that, or rather God was able to redeem that for us, that experience for us with Balin, through the birth of our daughter Kendall. And I can tell you that the time leading up to becoming parents of a baby that survived was really difficult for my wife and I. We had a lot of struggles with feeling incomplete, feeling like God wasn't blessing our marriage, feeling like everybody else around us was having successful births, and here we were having miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage. And that was tough for us. That was a time in our lives where there wasn't a lot of hope for the future. But what transpired out of that was really something amazing. Is it drew us closer to each other. And that's what God wants us to do. And that's sort of what Jesus is saying in this moment is, don't worry about the things that are to come tomorrow, because tomorrow is not promised to us. But worry about how you can love God and love people around you in this moment, right now, while you have the opportunity to do so. In the Greek language, there's actually two different forms of time. There's Kronos and there's Kairos. If you want to think of the separation of this, Kronos is time that is always moving. It's the ticking of the clock. Tick, tick, tick. Always going forward, always advancing. Kairos, though, is a God moment, or a moment where time stands still and everything washes away and you are ever present in whatever is going on. It could be a fleeting moment. It could be an hour. It could be a day, whatever it is. It's a moment in time where it is encapsulated in itself and nothing else matters. Does that mean that that moment isn't moving forward along? Absolutely not. You know that to be true. But what I want to say to you today is this. The way to combat the feelings of impatience, or the feelings that things aren't happening in your life as quickly as you want them to be, is to lean into those Kairos moments. In Western culture here in the United States and some parts around the world, we have become slaves to Kronos. We want it when we want it. We want it how we want it. And we don't want anything to hinder us. Heck, when I was a kid, if you ordered something online, it could take 2 weeks, a month, 8 weeks. It didn't matter. You patiently waited for it. Now, if I order from Amazon and they say it's going to be delayed more than a day, or delayed a day, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? What's wrong? I'm so used to order it now, get it the next day. Order it now, get it 2 days later. If someone said to me, you have to order this and it's going to take 4 weeks at this point in my life, I would think that they're crazy and I would find another way to get it instantly. That's how we think as a society, is by the ticking clock. We have to have what we want when we want to have it. The problem with that is it creates an anxiety, an anxious nature in us, because we don't understand the beauty in being still. We don't understand the beauty in not having, the beauty in waiting. Let's look at kids, for example. How many of us don't give our kids the chance to be bored? We don't give our kids the chance to just be still. We don't give our kids the opportunity, the honor, the gift of nothingness. We put them in every sport possible. We put them in every activity possible. So our kids are learning how to be slaves to Kronos. You wake up at this time, you get up, you go to school, you do this for 7.5 hours. As soon as you get home, we got to take you here, and maybe we have to take you 2 different places. Oh, guess what? Your Saturday, you don't get to rest on a Saturday. You have to do this, this, and this, because you have this activity and then this activity. And then, of course, if you go to church on Sunday, you go to church on Sunday. If not, we have to do this and this and this. So it's creating this ever-present cycle of people thinking that Kronos, the ticking clock, is what matters. But when we focus on the Kairos moments, we start to see, okay, God never said, I get what I want, right? Yes, he's controlling the path, but he never said, I get what I want. God wants us to work at a different pace, a pace where we are able to focus on the things that are most important, which are our relationships with him, first and foremost, and our relationships with the people that are in our circle or sphere of influence. I know that for me, sometimes I will put something on my calendar that I think is really important. And then when my kids are saying, Daddy, come play with us, or my son is saying, swing, swing, which means that he wants to go on the swing, sometimes I will put that thing that I put on my calendar ahead of my kids, and I'll say, no, Daddy's busy. I have to do this. I have to do this. Yes, it's important. But is it as important as that fleeting moment that I could have shared with my kids? Absolutely not. So I've had to learn how to reorganize the way that I think so that I can take advantage of those Kairos moments. Because that Kairos moment, even though I want to make more money, even though I want to be a successful businessman, even though I want to do all these things, that Kairos moment with my kids is going to blossom into something beautiful when they are a rebellious teenager and when they are an adult and they look back at the time that we had and we shared together as father and child, and they're going to remember those, and they're going to say, my dad loved me. My dad showed me what Jesus Christ was trying to show us, the love of a father. Now, my love for them is gargantuan. It's not even close to the love God has for us. But I am a physical representation, or I should be a physical representation of God's love to my kids while they are under my care and beyond. So it would behoove me then to put aside the things that sometimes, right? Put aside the things that aren't as important, that I've escalated to importance, and do the things that are most important. So although I want to do all those things that I talked about, being a better business owner, making more money, doing all those things, in the long run, when I'm on my deathbed and my family's around me, if I'm lucky enough to have that moment, my kids aren't going to remember how much money I made. They're not going to remember all the business partnerships that I made, all the things that I did. They're going to remember the time that I put everything aside and I just played with them. I rolled on the floor with them. My daughter's into Pokemon cards right now. So the times that I play Pokemon with her. And when I'm in those Kairos moments, nothing else matters. So that anxiety and that anxiousness that I was feeling while I was a slave to Kronos, or while I was doing that other task, it goes away. Because I'm making sure that my presence is fully integrated with the moment at hand. And I know some of you have really tight schedules. Sometimes you don't have the ability to do that. And right now you may be in a financial situation where you can't get your head above water and you're thinking there is no time for those things. But like Jesus said, don't be anxious about those things. Pray about them, fast about them, work towards them, but don't be anxious. Because just like he dresses the lilies of the fields and he feeds the birds of the air and he does all these things, God will provide. What's most important, though, is to live in those Kairos moments where we are present with our families. We're present with the people that need us. We're able to carve out time and address things with people that may help heal them and may help heal ourselves. If we don't ever give room to be still and to allow God to move in our lives, whether you're at the top of the food chain as far as corporate America is concerned, or you are a stay-at-home parent, those moments matter more. So my encouragement to you is this. When you are feeling down and you are feeling like nothing you do is moving you towards the goal that you have set for yourself, when you feel like you have been waiting patiently for whatever it is you think God has for you, whether it's a child, whether it's a job, whether it's an opportunity to do something else, my advice is to lean into those Kairos moments a little bit more. You never know what might come out of that. You may get an opportunity in a Kairos moment if you stop to talk to a stranger who looks you in the eyes, or if you just give a little bit of extra time to your kids, because you never know who's watching you. That's the thing. I can tell you, I was the manager of Leitersburg Cinemas from 2016 to 2020. And the reason I got that job is while I was at my other job, my future boss, my then boss, came in and he observed me working with the team. He observed me as a leader in that organization and how I worked, and that helped me get over the edge. So you never know who's watching you. You never know what's going on. But when you lean into those Kairos moments, not only are you fulfilled, but you fulfill other people, and the people watching are also fulfilled as well. So go out there, Uncuffed family, and remember, don't be anxious about tomorrow. Tomorrow's not promised to you. Maximize the Kairos moments in your life today. Reach out to someone and have a moment with them today. Reach out to your kids. Reach out to your spouse. Do whatever you need to do to fill your day with as many Kairos moments as possible. Because yes, the ticking clock is going to keep moving. But the promises that happen, the joy that takes place, the hope, the beauty happens in the Kairos moments. God is going to provide what you need at the perfect time. It may not come when you want it. It may not come when you think you need it, but He will provide it. What's most important, though, is maximizing the time that you have right now. Right now is all that matters. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Right now is all you really have in this world. So maximize that. Love on people, love God, and whether you're working, you're at home, or you're anywhere in between, take hold of those Kairos moments and really show people who you are. That's it for today, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe. This podcast airs every second Tuesday and every last Tuesday of the month. And I'm really excited to bring you things that I think will help you in your life, help you in your leadership, and give you hope for a better future. Let's shift the paradigm of what we can do out in the world. Be blessed, and I will see you next time.